If you enjoy this content and are willing to help me in any way, please consider Patreon. It is a way that you can help me acquire more gear to test and review. Thank you so much for supporting me. As title says, the speakers that changed everything to me. As I'm not such a big tower speaker guy, I completely understand the benefits of having these large imposing speakers in your listening room, as there are bookshelves who sound bigger but will never sound and have this deep commanding bass like towers. But my listening room is not so big and I'm not that biggest bass guy in the world. I mean, bass helps treble to sound more fun, grounded and listenable. The good coupling creates the audiophile magic. I strongly recommend for you to watch my Aria 906 review, as I will few times compare and use it for reference in this review. It can even be said that I consider that one to be a part 1 of this review. Let's return to Accommodation. The amount of air that's being thrown out from these cabinets can be really punishing for smaller rooms, as the sound that reflects will make sound muddy and it really requires care in positioning, acoustic treatment and pairing. If the room size is decent and around 20 meters and you have recommended listening distance of 3 meters, it should be fine. While it shares some characteristics with baby brother of 906, one interesting change is in tweeter design. The aluminium magnesium, they say that they use a different way to do a suspension between dome and a bracket with power on, which should almost have that memory foam kind of effect. They say it works wonders for stability and precision of soundstage. Otherwise, there are false cones that I expressed my satisfaction with in review of 906, with its neutrality and how they don't color so much. There is a lot of familiarity for me here, but that all disappeared when I first time played the speakers. These are not baby brother's shy first few dates for me. No, these are capable speakers. This was someone who is confident in its strength, and by just its presence, it knows how to communicate that really well. I don't know, is it from those two speaker drivers, as just there is a lot of body in music, and putting that with new Twitter, which is giving additional verve to music and more apt feeling. If you know, in my review of Aria 906, I criticized it how shy and reserved they are, how there's a lack of dynamics in treble and how it lacks passion. But here I can say those strings and drums are fun. I might stick around a bit more here and listen to your Sonic Tales vocal. It does what vocal does fantastically. It is a mighty insightful sound, with a great tonal accuracy and that engulfing soundstage. I was so happy I could actually sit and listen to all these great micro details that I can in my mind dissect the rhythm section from what is coming from where, what texture and properties they use to create those sounds. This is a mature audiophile device in a way that it will reward great pairing, but also experience. Experience plays a key role here. Let's say you spend 2,500 euros, how much they cost when they arrived on a scene, or maybe 1,800 euros, how much they cost now. That is a hefty price for just speakers, as how audio addiction goes, you need great power and source to feed these speakers to be truly satisfied. Not speakers per se to be truly satisfied, but you, as there is always a hole you try to fill so you can feel and experience more sonic wonders. And that hole, it just never gets filled no matter how much you invest. As speakers speak to us not just in a physical level, but also in an emotional level. We want to be satisfied and validated with sound, and satisfied with our accomplishments and small victories, building an audiophile experience and system. Until we get accustomed to that sound, so maybe not right away with purchase, but as time goes and you get more accustomed to sound characteristics of your device. But as someone who is experienced in listening audiophile gears, you will know what comes with that territory. You will know patience. You will know true joy of hearing something you did not hear previously, or something which sounds sonically characteristically different, and your ear can pick up more and more as you are trained. I think these are one of those speakers that requires trained ears to pick up as much as dynamics and details, and it is not something which aggressively will present it to you. It expects from you to have that audiophile mileage. But the difference from 906 is just how much immediate fun you'll have with them. They show, but also they speak about tales of excitement. They open the dynamics in treble. They are pushing everything in front of you. They rise the hairs on your arms with every double bass and chinal strike. And it is helped with large amount of air it is creating. It just carries everything around him like a typhoon in this large soundstage. There is a presence, it cannot leave you unentertained and not in naive. And it all comes with the great goodies of vocals, great soundstage and great imaging. But we come to an interesting point here, how much it can be balanced like previous speakers. It was a great point of a previous speakers that it was balanced and structured in that way that it brought joy on continuous listening sessions. It was smooth and beautiful. Well, unfortunately, we are dealing with a different beast here. Don't expect clarity and transparency of 906, and oh boy did vocal did not lie for that 3-meter distance between listener and speakers. These speakers need space, not just as in high dispersion will get muddy, but in a way that the bass can get boomy really quick if not have enough space. It is not that there is no details and separation here, but if you want utmost clarity, 906 wins there. It just could create more separation spatial in soundstage. Here you have this grand soundstage, a massive soundstage, but also a massive actors on that stage. They are big and present, and you can feel textures and separations. But I could be in that production room in 906 where those instruments have been recorded. Here I am in a concert, a greatly produced concert, but still a concert where it's not that you care so much about separation, how much about verve, presentation, dynamics and range. As those are incredible, but interestingly enough, imaging was great here. I did not expect that. It is equally impressive here, no. With everything you know, it makes it even more impressive. How even under in this like large, gigantic, massive sound, there is a lot of focus in instruments and vocals. As imaging is sometimes a complicated issue with towers, as crossover between additional drivers can cause not so perfect coupling, and sometimes imaging suffer in process. But here vocal did their magic. God damn, this Frenchman is on fire. Let's talk about bad, maybe not bad, but inconveniences. The size and the scope of these speakers require a certain type of room and the listener to truly enjoy, as you can have disappointments if the sound sounds too muddy. It might not be because speakers and bad pairing, it is that it punishes room too much. You need to move it from walls, you need to isolate your floors, you need to give it space between them and space between you. Otherwise, the sound might lack clarity. Secondly, it is not the most fun listen I heard from towers. It is not like the most upped, passionate speakers. It is better than 906, and that is a phenomenal thing, to have such a separation, imaging, soundstage, and even some clarity with this upped dynamics. But if that is your primary target, there are cheaper and in this price level towers that deliver more punch furiosity. As to me, vocal arias, they are a special speakers that blew me away. But that was me. Maybe it will not be for you in the end. Maybe a third point is price. I think it is fairly priced now comparing to market. But once they first arrived on scene, they were a bit too expensive and should have gotten a price cut a little bit. As there is a steep competition here from Dali's, Q-Acoustics and Kefs that also deliver incredible speakers. Actually, while we are in the subject of that, I would like to compare this with much cheaper speakers to drive point, and that is Dali Oberon 5 and 7. Especially Dali Oberon 5 is like 2 to 3 times cheaper than Aria, but Dalis are much more expressive even though they are cheaper. They have more passion and greatly expanded their richness in mids. They cannot compare to level of extraction of details, separation, soundstage and imaging of vocal, but they also do a great job to image and create great soundstage, but they are much more cheaper. They are far easier to accommodate as well in a room and gives a sound you would maybe prefer a little bit more depending on what kind of sound characteristics you like. Let me be clear, they are not the better speakers. I personally think Aria 926 are better, but these are cheap alternatives to consider, as I have lived with both Oberon and Arias for a long time, and it is incredible how much you will miss one and other when listening to them. You can even see a review of Oberon on my channel, it will be linked down below. But Dali, Opticon 6 and 8, well, that's a different story. A story for some other time and for some other review. I have to mention one thing more. I know that I said in my review of Aria 906 that they are not best suited with jazz, as I was a little bit disappointed, but I have to change that opinion for Aria 926, and for a good example, I will take this record in my background, the Miles Davis In Silent Way. In Silent Way is a fusion jazz pioneer record, influenced or not by Ornette Coleman. It is also, beside Miles Davis trumpet here, a John McLaughlin on guitar. I think this is a jazz played with a certain passion and psychedelia that requires a bit more live speakers to follow. And also, many speakers struggle with trumpets here that can sound dangerously high. Even vocal Aria 906, which I said the smooth highs have problem completely managing them and can sound bright at time. 926 completely shocked me with how much I enjoyed myself listening to this. The same smooth sound that I praised now have presence with dynamics, a bunch of them, and they are aimed a bit at the treble spectrum too, giving more spice to that sound. And yet, holding to that smooth sound was an amazing to me. Still, those highs are not completely smoothed out, as these are not warm speakers, but trumpet, guitars and drums have this giant presentation and separation that brought big smile on my face. I was vibing along with that galloping drums with a bunch of textures and percussions. It was lovely how Miles' notes were touching me, and he is sitting right next to me instead of me looking from afar. I loved what I was hearing here. And here comes the moment where I have to say that these speakers changed everything for me. They really did. I loved Aria 906, but it took all the problems I had with them and upgraded it to sound fresh, smooth, but also with a verve and passion. It is still not that most upfront and passionate speakers, especially not in tower level in this price range, but I will take it. I will take it all. If you want dynamics, smoothness, imaging and soundstage, come to the party that Focal is inviting you. Come listen to this grand stage where musicianship is being noticed through the layers of haze, and this is a concert, a finely tuned concert that is tackling your mind not just with details, but with presentation of musicians as live human beings who are passionate about what they are doing. That all comes with a few cons, which I previously mentioned already here. While I loved more passionate presentation than younger brother, it still is not at a pair with some towers in this price level when it comes to live musical sound. It could be a tad bit more transparent. Nothing seriously bad, but I could really get a bit more blacker background. And typical issues when pairing, partnering and accommodating speakers like this is required a bit more seasoned audiophile who knows how to create a happy home for such speakers, as otherwise sound can sound a bit muddy and unfocused, which is not true, as these speakers show gigantic soundstage with the great imaging where the separation of instruments is a strong point. So in the end, think about, is this your next speaker? As this is an amazing speaker, but is your home and you really ready to give it a loving place to breathe and expose its talents? But when everything aligns, it is amazing. Thank you for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed my content, and if you appreciate what I do and how I do, please consider supporting me by liking, subscribing, and if you can, donating via Patreon. Keep daydreaming and see you in the next video. Bye!